Good afternoon, traders and investors. Will back here with another one. Well, today, guys, was a bit of a strange day. Obviously, we finished largely up. But if you were to ask me yesterday, after yesterday's close and the momentum to the downside and the loss of daily uptrends on a lot of big tech names, how I thought this day was going to go, I would have said 90 to 95% red. But in a bull market, an extended bull market where bulls control the monthlies and the weeklies, it's tough to count them out. And a common theme here over the last 3 to 4 months has been the bears' lack of follow through. If I just want to show you guys on the chart real quick, this is not the first time, guys, that this has happened, right? Where we're very close to the lows, they heavy push into the lows and just get absolutely rejected. No ability to follow through with the daily downtrends, right? This has happened here. They had it. They had a potential daily downtrend going for them, engulfed by the bulls. They had a double low here, right? Coming down, hard momentum into this, right? And what happened? Absolutely rejected. Didn't refuse to lose the daily uptrend. This has now happened several times in the past. It's happened here as well, right? Where you were kind of in jeopardy of losing the averages. And just in one day, bulls completely reverse and buy the dip. So I will personally say, was not expecting today. Obviously, the positive PCE data definitely helped, and we'll go over that in a minute. So PCE report came out this morning. What also helps, there's a bit of a double factor here. The Bank of Japan yesterday, also known as one of the most stable economies, right? They said that they were going to potentially touch their interest rate yesterday during market hours, which kind of led to a cascade of events, led to the market bleeding out. Now, I didn't think that was an important factor, but it definitely did contribute to the downside yesterday. Overnight, they came out and said, yes, we may just touch our target rate. However, in the speech overnight, this past night, they said that they forecasted for easing of inflation in Japan over the next year, which absolutely completely reversed everything. If you look at the overnight session, guys, to how we closed yesterday, right? This is 4 o'clock yesterday. Overnight futures was an absolute rocket ship throughout the Asian session, throughout the European session, and right into US Open, right? So very good job by the bulls of recapturing absolutely everything. Let's go over PCE briefly. So key Fed inflation rate falls to lowest annual level in nearly 2 years. Very good. If you want to see this, right? We're now at 3%. 3% on this inflation metric, right? So very good, especially you see the downtrend happening, right? This is what a lot of people were calling for, and it happened. PCE increased only 0.2% on the month as good prices fell while services cost rose. Sure, consumers continued to spend. This is our double-edged sword, right? They continued to spend with expenditures up 0.5% on the month. So the Fed is trying to thread the needle, right? They don't want to crush people's spending to zero, but they also want to reduce inflation. So they have to taper people's spending. And that's exactly what's been happening, guys, right? So I just want to show you guys here what this man said here. George Mateo, CIO at Key Private Bank. Today's economic releases reaffirm the current market narrative that inflation is cooling and economic growth is continuing. People are still spending, which is a favorable environment for risk assets. And that's exactly what happened today off the back of good inflation, guys. We absolutely ripped. It was very good to see. And I was surprised. I'll be the first to admit, guys, I was not expecting this. I was prepared for it either way in the way that my trading strategy works, but obviously quite pleased that we didn't get the negative follow through and that we just continue to grind higher here. Perfectly fine with it either way, but obviously that's the best of two scenarios. Now, what are we dealing with on the charts here, guys? We're gonna go over the charts. We're gonna go over also my personal trades here. So I'm gonna try to keep this video shorter than usual, but still a lot of things to talk about. Now, all right, what are we looking for on SPY? SPY, key level right here, 451, 451.50-ish. This line right here, guys, cannot lose this or you lose the daily uptrend for sure. Bulls, an amazing job of playing defense at this 12 EMA. You guys have heard me talk about the 12 EMA in every single video. Why? Look at how many times we come close to losing it and the bulls just save the day every single time, right? We can come down to it hard like this and then in 2 days, we're right back over it, right? So this is pretty much everything since May, since we really started rocketing out of this consolidation zone, right? So can't count the bulls out, guys. They're here to play, and off any positive news release, they will run with it. Just as the bears yesterday, any negative news, they were willing to run with it because things are kind of getting overbought in a lot of different sectors. Well, today it was the bulls showing that, listen, there's still a lot of money on the sidelines. We're not done here. And if we get positive macro data to the tune that over the next year, inflation will be coming down, potentially that equals a pause in rates and even a decrease in rates, well, we're going to start throwing capital at this market despite the year-to-date gains. So very, 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 mixed sentiments here on both, both sides of the day, right? Yesterday down 2% on the NASDAQ. Today up almost 2%. So very, very, very volatile past few days. But one thing's for sure, you cannot lose this line in the sand level, guys, right? So I am heavily watching this. Obviously, if you crack the tops here, the daily uptrend resumes. You're talking about resistance areas of 455. We're through that all the way to 460, your last area of resistance here. Weekly, with fairly a decent close here. We're pretty far off our 12 EMA area here. Don't like to see that too much. We are starting to get overbought on the SPY here, but as long as bears can't follow through with their monster moves and crack lows and negate these daily uptrends, right? Well, this is just going to continue to happen. It's been a common theme over the past 3-4 months. So that being said, this is the line in the sand level to watch. Definitely watch this, guys. But as of now, the bull's doing a great job of potentially saving this daily uptrend. It's absolutely insane, right? Same thing on QQQ, right? Look how many days the bears had an opportunity to flush these lows, to flush the 12 EMA, to crack to lower lows. They couldn't do it. Like, look at these 5 days, right? Double bottom, triple bottom. This day almost, I'll count that as a non-factor, but again on Wednesday and again yesterday on Thursday. And today we get the gap up flush Uno reverse card in the bear's face. Absolutely insane, right? So this has happened a few times before. Like I said, it's happened here where we've lost the EMAs and the bulls just recapture it right away. They came down hard into it and reverse right away, right? So common theme, guys. If the bears cannot follow through, I'll repeat this, if they can't follow through with their daily downtrends, when they have everything going for it, the wind in their sails, as they speak, well, they're just not going to be able to set up for further weekly consolidation, right? So as of now, bulls still in control, right? Doing a good job of maintaining this. And we're going for the resumption of the daily uptrend, guys. Level to watch here, pretty much 374.76. All right, can't lose that level. If we lose that level, the daily uptrend is compromised. But as of now, we're looking at our resistance high. Obviously, if they crack the resistance high, the daily uptrend continues to go. Resistance area for QQQ now is going to be anywhere between, I would say, we're in it now, 385 to roughly our all-time highs of 405, this whole area of resistance up here. But definitely, guys, this area is super important. So we'll see what happens next week, right? But it does appear as though we may get a daily uptrend confirmation, or at least now the bulls have created a lot of space to where we could even develop a tightening range, accumulate in this area, and then potentially pop through, right? So keep an eye on that. XLF bulls playing good defense here, the 12 EMA, that's what I was targeting in yesterday's video, right? So we're still just looking to set the daily higher low, guys. Anything above 34.20, once again, is just going to be your daily higher low for continuation to the upside. Financials looking very healthy. Resistance stays put $36 to $37. Like I said, bulls in absolute full control. This is a bull flag right here. So we're really looking out for that area. I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if this move does continue. But if we do top out here and continue consolidating, it'll just be weekly consolidation as well, right? So just keep an eye on that. My expected move is that we definitely move higher into this resistance zone before potentially rejecting again. XLV Healthcare. Healthcare, same thing, looking for the daily higher lows, right? Bull flag, looking for the daily higher lows. I'll remind you, anything above 129.63 down here is just going to be your daily higher low. So very, very good job. We're also looking, right, if we do consolidate further, we're also looking for a potential weekly bull flag for the higher low on the weekly to push higher. Now, not so far, our next area of resistance here, all the way up to about 140 is going to be the next target area if bulls keep pushing. But when we get such good earnings reports, like the one from AbbVie here, like the one from Johnson & Johnson, right? Everything in healthcare has kind of been popping. So it's no surprise that the bulls are really here to play some aggressive offense on healthcare. After having been muted for so long, we're now cracking above, right? Weekly uptrend confirmed. So it would not surprise me, guys, if once this daily consolidation is finished, keep an eye on your 12 EMA right here, right? If once the consolidation is finished, we're pretty much going to get a second bull leg up. I would not be surprised in the slightest. IWM Russell, the growth names performing well today, 1.29% up to the day, right? Still challenging in this resistance area. Look at this day yesterday, guys, right? We were right there at the 12 EMA. They literally had to do nothing except for flush the lows. They even cracked the lows. Like I said in yesterday's video, daily downtrend was confirmed. And what happened? The bulls just came back strong, rejecting it, right? So now pretty much the scenario is we may just get a tightening range within this whole area here. It's going to be pretty challenging for the bulls to pop through this in one clean shot, although they can do it, right? Resistance area, top of the resistance area, 200 psychological, guys, is going to be it. We're right in that area now. That's why we're getting such big amount of resistance at this area. Not surprising at all, but the area to hold definitely, guys, at this point is 193.73, right? Confluence with the 12 EMA and yesterday's low. So keep an eye on that. If we do flush it right, then we are potentially going into further weekly consolidation over the next couple of weeks. But if the bulls just maintain this tightening range in a nice manner, right, it wouldn't surprise me if we just accumulate up here and then smash through this resistance as well. Dow Jones names. Dow Jones playing good defense, guys. Fairly muted day, right? Completely inside yesterday's and Wednesday's trading day. So very, very good day by the bulls here, playing a bit of defense. Dow Jones, we're looking for the exact same thing, just looking for the higher lows. At this point, we're kind of bull flagging at this top zone here. If we do eventually pull back a bit more, right, we can afford a bit more pullback all the way to the 12 EMA, but we're just literally looking for your daily higher low. Tons of space. In my opinion, value bulls are in absolute full control at this point. Weekly uptrend, very, very nicely in motion. And if you look on the monthly as well, monthly chart is looking beautiful for continuation all the way into all-time highs. Now, Bitcoin, very, very muted. Like I said again, guys, daily downtrend is confirmed at this point, and now we're retesting this whole green bar area that used to be support. We're testing it as resistance, so it's normal that the bulls are having a tough time getting through that. In my opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get some more further downside. Like I was saying in previous videos, 28,500 all the way to 28,000 is the area that I'm targeting for that. We're still in search of our weekly higher low, toying with this 12 EMA ever so slightly, still looking for the weekly higher low. This is a weekly bull flag, 5 weeks in the making, but like I've been saying, guys, shouldn't surprise you. Bitcoin goes up, and then 3 weeks in consolidation, goes up 1 week, and then 5 years of consolidation. You know what I mean? Like it's really bad, right? When crypto's not favorable, when there's not as big volume as there once was in crypto, it's hard to really get back above these levels. And usually when it does happen, it happens in one clean shot. So if it happens, guys, you will see it. It'll likely be, once again, these like 2-3 days of massive candles. But for now, bulls fairly muted. Wouldn't be surprised if the daily downtrend continues a bit further until the bulls decide to step in. Now, Apple, beautiful day on Apple, guys. We're mostly on big tech. A lot of pattern reversal here, guys. So like I was saying on Apple yesterday, right? They were setting up the potential daily downtrend. And I remember myself saying, guys, the best case scenario is an Apple tightening range. Well, that's kind of exactly what's happening with today, right? We may be going into this little tightening range formation at the top. You've seen these things a few times, right? In the past, where we kind of break through a level and then kind of range bound. This is the same. Break through a level right here, and now we're kind of range bound. Not really going to the upside, not to the downside, just really sideways movement here. So earnings next Thursday is going to be make or break for Apple, guys. In my opinion, you know, Apple is a stock that if they do well, they could very easily push through these all-time highs on earnings. But if they do poorly, they could also be setting up for a daily downtrend, similar to what Microsoft did too, right? So Apple really can't comment too much on this chart before earnings, because at this point, it's getting so tight up here that earnings is literally going to break this one either way, in my opinion. So we're going to have to wait for earnings for a bit more data, but can really go either way, guys, right? Tightening ranges, that's usually what happens. They tighten up and then they break one or the either direction fairly hard. Now, AMD as well, right? AMD bulls playing somewhat good defense today, guys. AMD was actually up a lot more, but they kind of gave it back. They were up almost 3% today, right? So what are we doing on AMD? Same thing, right? Maybe setting up with the tightening range here at the lower end of this whole bear move. Definitely not that strong in terms of bull movement off the lows here, right? So area to watch out for, guys. 108. If we flush this 108 yellow line here, in my opinion, we're going for the daily downtrend, which would also potentially be for the weekly downtrend. Bulls, great defense of this 12 EMA, guys, right? So we're kind of doing the same thing, tightening range here, right? This could get very, very, very tight. AMD earnings with next Tuesday as well, right? So this is going to, once again, like Apple, this is going to break either way. Just tightening up here. And if we get the flush, in my opinion, we're going to my sweet spot zone. I will be adding, but obviously if we tighten up until Tuesday and then we get the break to the upside, right? Well, then it'll just reset all the bullish trends back in motion. It'll be daily uptrend in motion, and it'll also be a weekly reversal of the trend, which will be very, very notable to me if it does happen. Personally, I hope that we get some action down here because I would love to pick up some more shares. I may even take an earnings gamble by writing anywhere between 104 to 100 puts next week because I really don't mind getting the stock down there if it does come down. Amazon, same thing. Amazon set up for earnings next week. Amazon, beautiful bounce with today. I mean, today was a massive day, 3%, right? So completely negating this red day yesterday. I was literally sure that we had set the lower highs and were potential due for some further consolidation into earnings, and then earnings would send it either way through this zone right here, right? But bulls showing up today in a big way on a lot of names, guys. If you put the fib on this now, it's getting dicey for the bears. The bulls have now taken back more than 618, right? Just above it here. So that is really the golden level that you're watching out for. The probabilities state that if they take back 62% of the move, then you're likely to get at worst a tightening range, or at best an entire daily trend change to the bulls. Earnings, in my opinion, will be the deciding factor for Amazon as well. Same concept as the previous names. If they flush this 126 area, then very simply your daily downtrend will be confirmed with earnings. But if they continue to push higher prior to earnings, and then earnings can't push them through this level, they're setting up nicely to set up a higher low compared to this one and reverse the trend to the bulls at that point. So bulls playing very, very, very good defense, if I do say so myself, guys. And if we do flush, like I've been saying in my previous videos, looking for the weekly higher lows, but looking with this week's close, right? Looking like instead we just want a bull flag at the highs here, right? Unable to break this whole low area. Earnings, in my opinion, going to be the deciding factor. And obviously, guys, resistance is obviously put up here all the way up to 145. Now, Google, let's go to Google. Google right here. Google, very nice day, guys, erasing pretty much the two negative sentiment days that we had after earnings and yesterday on Thursday. So great move up. 2.5% on Google pretty much, right? Still a nice little gap down here. In my opinion, this obviously this is going to be a massive daily uptrend, right? In my opinion, if we do pull back, we're going to pull back into about the 128 area, use it as support for a potential future leg up, right? So great job by the bulls, reconfirming our weekly uptrend as well. So Google, aside from other tech names, Google is looking very, very, very healthy for the bulls, excuse me, in terms of continuation. Now, if we pull back, we don't have to stop at this line, right? It's a range. So 128 all the way down to about 126-ish. That is where I think that the bulls, if they do pull back, could pull back into before pushing for further. But Google looking very, very, very healthy, if I do say so myself. Meta also erasing yesterday's losses. Nice move, 4.5% on Meta. Absolutely ridiculous day, guys, on tech. Really negating all the work that the bears had put in yesterday, right? So at this point, guys, engulfing move by Meta. This shouldn't surprise you. I've shown it before. It's happened before a number of times, right? So at this point, guys, resistance, right? Since the bulls are in full control with this weekly close, resistance, guys, is all the way up to 333, all the way up to 350. This whole little pocket here, the little chop zone, we're moving into it quickly, and the bulls are in full control of everything. Monthly, weekly, right? Clear weekly uptrend continued. And also now they've recaptured the daily too. So anything, guys, above 289 is just going to be for a daily higher low for continuation. Bulls in full control. Can't say anything negative about Meta on that chart. Microsoft trying their best to come back, but Microsoft, one of the few tech names that is in a confirmed daily downtrend, right? So at this point, guys, really don't want to flush these lows if you want to see bulls reverse this like all the rest of the bulls, right? So keep an eye on this, guys, right? So you have a big support area down here at 327. So it stands to argue that the bulls are going to be able to play good defense of this whole little zone, right? Between 323-ish and 327, this whole little area here is going to act as nice support, right? So what do the bulls have to do to regain this daily uptrend? We have to put as much of a move into this lower high as possible. So that way they can set up for the potential daily trend change. You remember me showing you that Fibonacci on the previous chart, right? So you need to start pulling back as much as possible into this move. And if you do, you set yourself up nicely to set a higher low compared to this low here and reverse the trend to the upside to the bulls. But as of now, we're in a confirmed daily downtrend. Weekly looking good with this whole support area as well. Came back a bit here. So Microsoft really doing the same thing as Apple, right? Really tight here at the top, right? Getting pretty tight here at the top in this whole little range right here. So that's just what needs to happen with the bulls. For the bears, you need to flush 327. You start flushing 327 and send it back, right? Continue the daily downtrend. It'll continue weekly consolidation. My sweet spot, obviously, down here on Microsoft. NVIDIA, great job by the bulls as well. Now, same thing. Let's pull up the fib on these charts, right? The bears put in a nice move. Now, what's happening? Right? If we pull up this chart, we zoom in a little bit here, guys. I want you guys to really see this. We're going to widen it up real quick like this, right? So the bears put in this entire move, nice move. But now what's happening? The bulls have come up almost 80% of this entire move down, right? So when the bulls take that much back of the move, the most likely scenario becomes, at worst case, a tightening range, right? If they only came up this much before coming down, then you're likely to set up the daily downtrend. But now they've come up so much that the worst case becomes a tightening range. And the best case obviously becomes a bull break to new all-time highs. So keep an eye out on that on NVIDIA here. NVIDIA at this point, guys, really don't want to lose this 440 area, right? 440 is going to be a line in the sand level for me when we do see this pullback. Hopefully they can get somewhat of a tightening range going. At the worst case, if they do pull back, obviously AMD earnings may play into this as well, but they just keep going, guys. We're looking for new all-time highs. If they crack 477, the daily uptrend has always been in motion, right? So remains to be seen, guys, if they can get it done. But NVIDIA, I mean, no real red flags, guys. I mean, with today's action and a complete reversal, guys, they've reversed a lot of these negative patterns here. I obviously can't touch NVIDIA up here. Pretty rich for me. Now, Tesla also, bulls, doing a great job. I'm sorry I'm laughing here, guys, but it's just like sometimes it's just so ridiculous, right? Like you end up with situations like this where you're literally pennies away from setting the daily downtrend in like pennies away from setting the daily downtrend in motion, right? And full absolute ridiculous reversal, right? So at this point, guys, double bottom in this whole area here, 255-ish is going to be your key area of support to watch. But bulls putting in a nice double bottom, and remains to be seen if they can actually kick it up higher to set up for the trend change off this low, setting a higher low here and then moving to the upside. Bulls doing a great job of playing defense because it was getting tight for sure, right? So on the weekly as well, you really want to watch this 240 area. If we do pull back further than this double bottom, but as of now, if bulls get some more momentum into next week and we start reversing like this, then it sets themselves up nicely for a potential daily trend change, right? The bears never able to set the daily downtrend. They just couldn't do it. They had, like I was saying, guys, a lot of these charts, like it was pennies, right? Like Palantir, I'm about to show you, it was the same thing, almost pennies, and they just couldn't follow through. You know, disaster for the bears, in my opinion, but good, obviously, for all of us holding shares and currently bullish on the stock. Can't say anything about that, right? So that is pretty much the expectation on Tesla. If we regain these moving averages as well, it just put more in the favor of the bulls. But definitely, guys, definitely watching out for this area, because if we do lose it like this, then they will confirm the daily downtrend. But as of now, putting in a bit of defense here, putting in a bit of space between them and that probability. PayPal, same thing, right? PayPal, pennies away from losing the daily uptrend, and they couldn't get it done. Decent recovery, putting in a bunch of space. So now in somewhat of a tightening range formation, kind of looks like Apple a little bit, right? So in this tightening range formation at the top, what are we looking for at this point? If we do pull back, anything above $65.20, $66 is just going to be a weekly higher low. But as of now, guys, we've created a nice amount of space, guys, above this whole area here. You obviously don't want to see the flush. If you do see the flush, it'll be daily downtrend confirmed. But just like Tesla, bulls putting in a good amount of work to kind of save a daily downtrend from happening here. So we're going to keep an eye on that, guys. Keep an eye on the 12 EMA, obviously. Haven't lost it slightly yesterday. Now we've recaptured it. So definitely keep an eye on that. And resistance stays put at 75. And your next targets, obviously, are going to be 77 all the way to $80. This whole resistance area here is going to require some good push. I think, especially with earnings next week on Wednesday, guys, we may continue, just like Apple and some other names, to tighten up until earnings. And then earnings is either going to flush it one or two ways. Just keep an eye on that. If they flush it to the downside, you're looking down here, guys, as your protection zone. And obviously to the upside, we're looking at high 70s to $80. Palantir, same thing, guys. Look how ridiculous this is. Like, if you're a bear, like, you have to just be like, come on, guys. Like, we almost had it. You know what I mean? They almost had it, right? Pennies. Holding on to this by pennies. You can see 5 days they had the chance to push the lows, could not get the daily downtrend set. So lack of follow through by the bears is definitely costing them this year, right? So now at this point, guys, we once again have double bottomed here at the lows, call it $16, right? Are the lows. And now the bulls are putting in such a good space here that it's very possible when we do consolidate off this move, it just becomes a daily higher low and resumption of the daily uptrend, right? So very, very good move by the bulls. If we do continue to smash through this area here, the weekly is looking very, very healthy, this weekly upswing, right? They were in jeopardy of losing it if we would have closed in a different fashion, right? But now weekly is still in motion, guys. And I really do think here, I'm giving myself a longer timeline, but I think this, if not this year, early next year, we're definitely going to start testing this 20 to 25 area where all the people from the IPO are pretty much trapped. It would not surprise me if we see Palantir there in the next 6 months, especially considering if they do get S&P inclusion. And now, lastly, the portfolio up again, right? So yesterday we were down. Today, nice little upswing here, if I do say so myself. Obviously, all of the positions coming back and ending up for me not being assigned anything. You know, I was ready to take assignment on positions, and today, complete market reversal. So can't really complain about that. I was prepared for them either way. That's why I run this strategy. But decent performance here. You can see 62%, right, against the S&P, and also NASDAQ here. NASDAQ with about 35%, and we're up about 62. So very good. Forgot to show you guys the S&P, but the S&P obviously up about 18% year to date. So we're pretty much getting some good outperformance here. Now, as for the positions, you guys can see, right, the AAs are completely worthless, right? 34.5s was going to be the assignment zone, this yellow line, barely closing above it in the last few, last hour of the day, right? Got above my target zone here and closed above, so very, very good. Not too sure why the average price is showing 9 cents today. It's kind of weird, but we did, you guys know, we wrote them about 16 cents, right? So very, very good. Close them out. Well, didn't close them out. They're now worthless, so they'll expire worthless tomorrow, right? Tesla covered calls still on. You can see the daily P&L is being offset by the gain in the shares. So fairly happy just keeping these on. It's giving me $1.15 per contract. I have two, right? So about $230 through Friday. It helps diminish the loss a bit more. So now my total loss on the two Tesla positions is about $900 something now. Really not that big of a deal for me, right? So took a gamble off earnings, got burned, and minimized the loss. Could have been down a lot more money considering where we were before earnings, about $295, right? Could have been down a lot more, but some good risk management was able to minimize the loss to very small. Now, Disney obviously 85s, closing above here today, right? So not assigned on any Disney whatsoever. We close at about $86, so happy about that. Enphase, so here's the thing about Enphase, right? These shells. The shells, I actually did not keep. I closed them roughly at break even when I saw an opportunity on Enphase after earnings this morning, right? So Shell, if you remember, I had the 61s. It was kind of trickling around here all day. So I closed them early in the day, right around break even. I wrote them for 22 cents. I closed them at 20 cents. So I made like $4. You know what I mean? Like, let's call it break even for all intents and purposes. But the reason I did it is because Shell, right? You can see here, I had two contracts before. So it was about $12,000. And these, since they're ADRs, they're European shares, didn't give me any margin on them whatsoever. And instead, I went with, so this would have been about 12,000 exposure. I went with Enphase instead. Since Shell was kind of, farting around there right around strike price, I was like, hey, I found an opportunity on Enphase, and I didn't want to use some extra buying power because I want to see how next week goes. So Enphase was kind of down here. When they opened, right, I was waiting for a while, all the way until about 11:30 noon time before I was going to see if we were going to actually start pushing lower again off of earnings, massive drop for earnings, or if the bulls would be able to actually consolidate here and continue to move higher. So I wrote it around when they were 150. You can see that I got the 140s. 140s are all the way. Sorry if I'm going a bit fast here, guys. 140s are all the way down here. This yellow line, if you want me to zoom it out here, will be a very good, it would be a nice price, guys, if I got Enphase at 140. Really not mad because this is my sweet spot. This green box is my sweet spot. So very happy to pick up shares on Enphase in here. So as you can see, I replaced the shells that weren't doing anything, took them out at break even. I was like, well, do I run the risk of being assigned or not? Or do I actually write Enphase with the same amount of capital with a lower strike for a stock that I actually want in my sweet spot? Easy choice for me. I went with the Enphase. Shell, I only had about 22 cents each, so 44 cents, so 44 bucks. And Enphase, I was getting $91 for difference. So you can see we already made, a decent amount of profit on it already. So very happy with that position. This is for next Friday. I will definitely be holding it till next week, unless it goes very, very worthless on Monday. Then I'll close it and reset. TPRs, we got called away, right? 41. We had 40 assigned at $42. You can see with the premium average cost $41.85. These TPRs covered calls, I got 40 cents for them. So decent. I made about 40 cents plus 15 on the position. Now we're completely out of it. So well over 1%, in the time that I held it. Very, very happy about that. 2 weeks. And then we had the STXs. STX also ending worthless, right? STX above 60. So STX above 60. Pretty happy with me today, right? So very, very good day for me. Like I said, guys, very light week for me. Didn't write much premium at all. Really kept, I only wrote about on half of my account because I wanted to see how tech goes. But next week with a lot of things like AMD, Apple, Amazon, I'm definitely going to be looking for deals, right? So just keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, I have a decent chunk of buying power locked away in Tesla right now. So we're just kind of grinding higher for the week. Wasn't that big of a week for me, but I'm happy. Really didn't get assigned any positions at all. Still riding the Tesla. Everything else is pretty much expired. TPR is getting called away. So next week, we'll pretty much have full buying power other than this Enphase here. Oh, and the Estee Lauder. Sorry, guys. The Estee Lauders, I closed them. Very, very good return, right? So I was able to get over 1%. Wrote the 170s for $5.30. I closed them at $3.20. So about $210 worth of profit that I got, which is well over well over my 1% rule. 1% would have been 170 bucks. So in 1 week, I was able to close 210, well over 1%, was happy with that. Anyways, I do have these leap calls that I am holding on Estee Lauder. So, a bit of a swap there for me, but we're all good out of pretty much every position except for Tesla and this little Enphase runner here. And next week, we're going to be looking for tech because now it is time, right? All the big events are past us this week. So I'll be looking a bit more at tech to load this portfolio up. And now that I have close to full buying power, we're going to go a bit deeper. So that's pretty much it for the videos today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Hope you, hope you weren't caught too off guard by the reversal today. Obviously, I was happy with the reversal, but was not expecting it. I'll be the first one to admit, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. The bears had all the momentum and all the possibility in the world to set the daily downtrends. Just a lack of follow through has been the theme of the last 3-4 months for them as this market remains fairly broad. Didn't even show you the heat map. Look at this broadness in this market today, right? So very, very tough for the bears to make anything meaningful happen. Now, if you liked the video, guys, consider liking. I appreciate it so much. And maybe if you want to subscribe too, right? Once again, have a great weekend, guys. I will see you all on Monday. Love you guys. Hope you guys had a great week trading. Peace.